When you decide to be less reachable, it can feel like a small rebellion against modern life. You draw a line and say, "This is where I stop," and the world begins. Perhaps you do it to shield your energy, or maybe to remind others and yourself that you are not a public resource. This act is not fueled by anger. It is a quiet stance that challenges the idea that everyone must be instantly reachable 24/7. Look around. Has constant connectivity enhanced our sense of fulfillment, or has it drained us? We are taught to answer texts instantly, like it's an urgent duty. We attend virtual meetings at strange hours to prove our commitment. We spend free moments scrolling through social media to ensure we don't miss out. All of this fosters an illusion. The more available we are, the more valued we become. But what happens when this illusion breaks? If you've ever found yourself stretched thin by obligations, you know the toll it takes. You nod politely at every request, force a smile even when exhausted, and accept every invitation out of habit. Over time, fragments of your identity slip away. Precious moments of solitude vanish as your daily schedule overflows with tasks. At some point, do you pause to wonder, who am I in all this? This is the question that leads many of us to seek the power of becoming unattainable. So what does this power look like? It's simpler than you might think. By stepping back, you reclaim your essence as something sacred, an energy source that isn't for sale. This doesn't mean you care less about others. Instead, you recognize that caring for yourself is a prerequisite for genuine connection. How can you offer true empathy if you're too drained to hear your own thoughts? Does making this change require a dramatic life overhaul? Not always. Often, it starts with something small, blocking out a little time each day to be off the grid, or turning down commitments that leave you feeling hollow. One boundary here, another there, and suddenly you notice a profound shift. You're less frantic, more centered. You stop using perpetual accessibility as a badge of honor. Have you ever considered attention as your most valuable currency? In the digital age, attention is relentlessly pulled in all directions. Every ping, notification, or update is a call for your focus. Over time, you give so much of it away that you have almost none left for yourself. But just like money, attention can become more valuable through scarcity. When you become selective with your attention, each moment of presence gains worth. Think about how society pressures us to spend this currency. Social media, corporate agendas, and entertainment platforms all clamor for it, treating each glance or click as potential profit. When we dole out attention indiscriminately, we reduce its potency. By safeguarding our focus and directing it purposefully, we reclaim control. Instead of feeling like we owe something to everyone, we become the gatekeepers who decide which tasks, people, or projects are truly worth our time. This deliberate distribution of attention transforms every moment of presence into a precious gift. Imagine an artist who unveils only a small number of works. Why so few? Because each one matters. Their sparse output invites curiosity and appreciation. The same principle applies to people who withhold words until they have something substantial to say. In a culture flooded with noise, their silence speaks volumes. When they finally speak, it resonates. Is that manipulative? No, it is a way to protect the integrity of their voice. We often conflate self-preservation with selfishness. But can you sustain healthy relationships if you've lost yourself by accommodating everyone else? Imagine a person who never gives themselves a moment of rest. They grow increasingly resentful, hollow, or emotionally frail. Eventually, they can't show up wholeheartedly for anyone. True self-care forms the bedrock of healthy interactions. If we don't nurture our core being, we become less capable of giving or receiving genuine love. Doesn't this raise a challenging question? Are we willing to let others see us as difficult or aloof if it means safeguarding our mental and emotional health? In a world where external validation reigns supreme, it's tempting to justify every boundary we set. Yet the unattainable person stops explaining themselves. They acknowledge they don't owe the world a running commentary on their choices. At this point, you might think, But won't I alienate people if I become less available? Possibly, but it's worth asking. Who remains by your side when you take back the accessibility? The answer can be revealing. When you no longer provide free labor or emotional support on demand, do certain relationships crumble? If so, were they supportive to begin with? When we withdraw from the fray, we create empty space. In that emptiness, we learn who genuinely values us and who only saw us as a convenient solution. It can be painful to realize some friendships were transactional, yet it can also be liberating, because once you see it, you can decide where to reinvest your time. You're choosing authenticity over obligation. Are you afraid that absence might make people forget you? The paradox is that absence often highlights your significance. The colleague who always relied on you for extra tasks now must confront how much you contributed. The friend who assumed your schedule was endlessly flexible sees that you, too, have limits. The companion who took your patience for granted experiences the hollow echo of your missing presence. Some will adapt, meet your needs in return, and gain a deeper respect for your boundaries. Others will fade away, revealing themselves as acquaintances of convenience. When conflict arises or criticism surfaces, do you feel compelled to respond immediately? Many do. After all, we're taught to fight back, defend our honor, or salvage our reputation. But reactivity can be an endless cycle. The unattainable person explores a different approach. They pause. They examine whether a particular skirmish deserves their energy. They might decide that some battles are not only unwinnable, but unnecessary. Is every poke or jab worth an argument? Stepping away from the impulse to react can feel risky. We might fear that silence looks like weakness. But does it? Often, calm neutrality radiates more power than any heated retort. It leaves the aggressor's words flailing in a vacuum. Meanwhile, we preserve our peace and direct our emotional resources more productively. Think of stillness as a fortress for the mind. Each moment of restraint strengthens its walls. What are the deeper motivators behind our need to be liked or accepted? Sometimes, it's a painful question to face. Have we been trading authenticity for approval? Have we built an identity around being indispensable to others? If so, then real healing may demand that we step back and address our own insecurities. Becoming unattainable forces us to confront the fear of not being enough. Without the busy work of constant approval seeking, we see our reflection more clearly. It's an intense process, but one that can lead to genuine self-respect. Does that mean we stop caring about relationships altogether? Absolutely not. What changes is how we approach them. Instead of buying connection with people-pleasing, we allow real resonance to guide us. Connections that stand the test of honest boundaries tend to be stronger, more rooted in shared understanding, rather than in constant giving and taking. The path to unattainability can feel like a transformation. Like a snake shedding its skin, you peel away old identities, the yes man, the eternal cheerleader, the self-sacrificing helper. You discover a more authentic version of yourself, neither icy nor uncaring, just real. Love still exists in this new space, perhaps more so than before, because it isn't laced with silent resentment or forced compliance. You learn to measure love by depth, not by how many hours you stay on a phone call you secretly don't want to be on. Do you fear that asserting yourself might leave you lonely? Surprisingly, you may find the opposite is true. Truer, deeper relationships often arise when we define how we want to be treated. When you choose yourself, you inadvertently teach others how to treat you. This can deter those who only wanted easy access, yet it will attract those who appreciate a person with a strong sense of self. By filtering out shallow connections, you make room for bonds built on mutual respect. Consider the power of the word no. Have you avoided it for fear of upsetting people or missing out? This tiny word can feel heavy, but it's potent. Each time you say no to something unfulfilling, you say yes to what aligns with your deeper needs. Boundaries are a form of emotional triage. By cutting off what drains you, you free up space for what revitalizes you. That includes hobbies, genuine relationships, or simply time to decompress. Imagine your life as a carefully managed garden. Each time you say no to something that doesn't nourish you, you're pulling a weed. With fewer weeds, the flowers have more room to bloom. Passions that once withered in the shade might come alive again. You may discover hidden talents or new interests. Moreover, you'll have the bandwidth to be fully present for the people and projects you choose to honor. How liberating is that? Perhaps you wonder if this approach is too idealistic. Might you risk career setbacks or social isolation if you become less available? In some environments, yes, you may meet resistance. But ask yourself, what's the cost of constantly bending to external demands? Reduced mental health, lingering resentment, chronic fatigue. Is that truly a bargain you wish to continue making? Many find that becoming unattainable paradoxically enriches their professional and social standing. When your time and attention are selectively given, they become more impactful. You're more alert, creative, and present because you haven't spread yourself thin. People begin to trust that if you say yes, you'll bring your best to the table. And if you say no, they respect that your refusal is honest, rooted in clarity about what you can and cannot give. Another irony is that being unattainable can invite deeper connection. How so? People sense when someone values their own presence. It signals self-awareness and self-worth. This can be magnetic, drawing individuals who value authenticity. Over time, your relationships shift from transactional to collaborative. Instead of draining yourself to fulfill every whim, you discover a level of reciprocity and mutual choice that fosters genuine closeness. Do unattainable people chase after recognition or approval? Typically, no, they don't need to. They aren't seeking to convince anyone of their value. Their value simply is. This quiet confidence can sometimes unsettle those who thrive on validation loops. Yet it also brings relief to those weary of the social masquerade. It feels refreshing to interact with someone at ease in their own skin. What if being unattainable doesn't mean rejecting the world, but finally embracing your truest self? How many of us live behind masks of politeness, fulfilling duties we resent in order to keep an image intact? By removing that mask, you step into an uncharted territory where you operate according to your own compass rather than external pressures. It may feel awkward, even radical at first, but this is how you truly get to know yourself. Will some people leave as you step into this new authenticity? Probably. Are you willing to let them go? This isn't to advocate cutting ties indiscriminately, but rather to accept that some relationships exist primarily because you are always available. When you shift that dynamic, you learn who appreciates you for your true essence and who doesn't. While parting ways can sting, it also liberates you to form healthier connections in the future. The payoff for maintaining this stance is huge. Those who remain see the unedited version of you, not the user-friendly hologram you once projected. They learn your quirks, your limits, and your passion. You, in turn, discover the richness of being understood. No longer do you rely on constant visibility to feel worthy. Your worth is anchored in self-awareness, not in external feedback. So what transforms when you become unattainable? In one sense, nothing about the world outside changes. Deadlines, social gatherings, and digital noise all continue. But you change. Your mindset shifts from seeking endless approval to embracing a measured, mindful presence. You begin to trust yourself as the ultimate authority on how you spend your time and energy. You release the need to justify your every move. Isn't that what true freedom feels like?